Everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We are currently experiencing some technical difficulties, but we are hopefully in the process of being able to do this Rockin donor relations at year end. So this is a discussion. It's originally intended to be led by Julie Edwards. And so if you could just give us one moment just to make sure that Julie can join us today. We will be with you in just a moment. Hi, Julie, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Julie, I think you might be able to also put your camera on.
Okay.
If you want to try that.
I don't see where it's giving me the ability to do that. It may be because of the parameters y'all have on set up for attendees, so I may not be able to do that.
That's okay.
There's a
Okay.
picture of me up there. Yeah.
So welcome everyone. Thank you for bearing with us. Sorry we're a few minutes late. This is the Rockin donor relations at year end. Raise more and generate goodwill. It's hosted by CauseVox. CauseVox is a digital fundraising platform designed to help you raise more with less effort. My name is Jenna Notar-Francesco. I'm one of the account executives here at CauseVox. And I'm also joined today by Julie Edwards. She is the nonprofit maven, and we're going to get more into her introduction in a moment, although sorry you can't see her on camera, but we're excited to be here today. Just a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, so you will have access to it. We're going to send out the slides and the notes, so you don't have to worry about taking copious notes all at one time today. We're going to send you all of those details. If at any time you have a question, you can drop it down in your chat Q&A panel, and we're going to try to answer as many questions as possible as time allows at the end. This is a 1-hour webinar. And in the meantime, I would welcome you to join us at the chat panel and let us know where you're from, who you are, your name, and one thing that you're hoping to learn in today's webinar. So yeah, I'm so glad we were able to get things together today. And Julie, thanks for bearing with me. And so Julie, where are you calling in from again?
I live about 40 miles outside of Atlanta, so I'm in Northeast Georgia. And it's great weather here this week. It's in the low 80s, which is very cool for us for this time of year.
Nice. Sounds like a joy down there. I've been to that area once and I absolutely loved the environment and the food, and the people are just so friendly. Hello, Diana from Uganda. Hello, Nancy in Connecticut. Hello to Lisa joining us from Oregon, and Margaret in Nebraska. Welcome everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you all. So since we started a little late, I'm just going to jump right in again. Again, my name is Jenna Notar-Francesco. I am an account executive at CauseVox, and CauseVox is a digital fundraising platform designed to help you raise more with less effort. We basically house all of your digital fundraising tools under one roof, and I'll be able to provide some links throughout the webinar in case you want to get connected with us at the end to help with your year-end fundraising. But in the meantime, I'm excited to dive right into today's webinar, which is Rockin donor relations at year-end, how to raise more and generate goodwill, and who I'm also pleased to be introduce Julie Edwards, who will be leading today's webinar. Julie has been in the nonprofit sector for over a decade, helping nonprofits really just put more money in the bank through her strategic campaigns and marketing and operations. And she is a wealth of knowledge. So I'm so pleased to hand it over to Julie to take it from here.
Thank you, Jenna. And I think what we're going to have to do, y'all, is I'm probably going to say next to Jenna because I actually don't have control of my slides. So if you hear me saying that, that is why. But this is my first slide. So just a little bit about me and why I am so passionate about donor relations. Donor relations is definitely a hill that I will die on. And this is why. I started at my organization, which was a humane society, in 2010. At that time, the organization was raising around $150,000 to $180,000 a year in donations through events and individual gifts. Well, I started as a director of development. I became the executive director in 2014. At that time, we had doubled our fundraising to slightly over 400,000. Then between that time and the time that I left the organization in 2020, did you lose him, Jenna?
Just one moment.
That's okay, no problem. There we go. Are you good to go?
Yep, you should be all set.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. We had increased it by another 300% to 1.2 million. And I will say that the only thing we did differently between 2014 and 2020 was the way we stewarded people and thanked our donors. And I'll talk a bit more about how we did that later. So you will see sort of the timeline of that. But we were not a big team. I just want to say that, we were a team of one, and then I hired a development director after I became executive director about a year and a half, 2 years in. And then we hired a development coordinator about a year later. So we weren't a big team, and we weren't a huge organization, as you can see, but we still managed to have a very robust stewardship and donor relations program. So that's a little bit of the outline today. We're going to talk about why donor relations matter, where to start, and best practices, and then specifically about your year-end stewardship strategy. And then I'm going to give a lot of ideas and samples about what you can do this year-end to thank your donors. Next, there we go. And this is a little bit more about me, which we'll just go really quick. Again, I've been in the marketing, communications, and PR field for about 25 years. I was in nonprofit management for about 11. I've been doing the consultancy for 2 years. In fact, I just celebrated my second anniversary of my business on September 1st. I've worked with clients since then to raise well over $5 million. And you will see there, that is my rescue pup, Millie, who is my vice president of positive client relations, if you get my emails. So she is a love of my life and keeps me sane some days because I can pet her. And there, of course, is all of my ways you can connect with me. And I highly encourage you and love for people to connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Ask me questions. I'm here. I want to help. So please reach out to me whenever you need anything. Next. So this is one of my favorite quotes of all time. This book I actually do not think is in publication anymore. It's by Stephen Pigeon, and you may be able to actually find it on Amazon, a used copy. It's called How to Love Your Donors to Death. But he says, what is your main job? To make your donors feel good about your organization and supporting it. You have to love your donors and the money will follow. And I think that is so true. I went to my very first conference in 2017, and it was the first time I heard the concept of, quote, donor love. And it was like, boom, a light bulb moment. And I was like, it is so simple, but yet it is amazing to me how many nonprofits still do not thank their donors well or at all. So honestly, if you're doing anything or some of these things I'm going to talk about today, you're probably well ahead of the curve of many nonprofits. Next. And again, super simple. This is sort of a duh thing, but why do donors ask? Give because you, I'm going to say that. I'm going to slow down now. Why do they give? Because you ask. Why do they give again? Because you thank them. But a lot of people think that the little acknowledgement email that you send or the one-time letter, we got your gift of this amount on this date, is enough, but that is not enough. You have to do more than that if you want to get your donors to stick around and give more often and give more money. You have to remember, I know a lot of people do not like to fundraise. It is not comfortable to ask, but donors don't owe you anything, and they're not going to just hand you money without understanding what you do. And just because you're doing good work doesn't mean that they will continue to give to you or will give to you at all. So donor relations is incredibly important, again, to getting your donors to buy into what your mission and to stick around. Next. So this slide hurts my little fundraiser heart a lot because in studies after studies after studies, again and again, there have been, a large percentage of donors that say they do not feel recognized or cared for at all. And in fact, more than 60% of nonprofits, as I was saying earlier, don't thank donors properly or again at all. There are still lots of nonprofit organizations that send no thank yous to donors, regardless of the gift or the size. I recently saw a post on LinkedIn about a donor who gave $10,000 to an organization and did not receive a thank you. I saw, I've read other stories recently of a donor with a net worth of over 10 million who at the end of 2021 had to reach out to a nonprofit they had been giving to for years to ask them if they could give a gift, because no one had contacted him that year to thank him or otherwise. I personally have a friend who was given 4 major gifts last year in 2021, and only one of those organizations ever reached out to say thank you to her. So this is not, I mean, you may think, oh my gosh, I can't believe nobody would thank somebody for a $10,000 gift, but it happens. It happens a lot more than you think it does. Next. So this is the cycle, and you may have seen this graphic before or something like it, but the cycle for donor relations is ask or giving period is ask, thank, report. You ask a donor, they give a gift, you thank them for the gift, and then you report back to them about how their donation was used to better your mission, to forward your mission, to help the lives of others, about the impact they made, about the difference they made. And again, donor relations is so important, because as you increase your donor relations and donors hear from you more, they stick around more because they feel good about giving to your organization, and they will start to give more and to give more often. And we actually saw this in our organization. We saw donors, as we continued to do our donor relations, we tracked everything in our donor database, our CRM, and we saw the donations start to tick up in frequency and in amount. And it does happen, and just make sure you keep good donor records to track that. But we saw it happen in our organization, and it does happen if you do your donor relations correctly. Next. This is actually, again, a graphic you may have seen before. It's by Bloomerang. It's put out about the state of donor retention. And honestly, this is about the same, even though this graphic is several years old. The average donor retention has hovered around 42 to 45% for years. But the first-time donor who gives again, the likelihood of that of them giving again is 20%. But if you can get that first-time donor to give a second gift, the chance they'll make a third gift increases to 60%, or by 3 times. And we're going to talk a little bit about why first-time donors are incredibly important, and to really focus on them, because you want to get them to give that second gift, but you also want to keep your current donors happy as well. And of course, I'll just mention monthly donors there. Monthly donors are your best donor as far as retention, because they are plugged into your organization and the retention is 90%. So if you can have a robust donor program at some point in the career of your organization, that's a great thing. Next. So there, a lot of people thought during the pandemic that giving would halt, that people wouldn't give because they were home, they weren't working, but actually we saw the opposite happen. Donations actually reached record highs over the past couple of years. But what we found out, or the studies found out, is that a smaller percentage of people are giving, but they're giving more. But again, the number one reason why donors stop giving is because they do not know how your gift is being used. Your donors are mission driven. They appreciate your mission. They trust your organization. When they get to see the impact, when they get to have a personal connection with you, when they feel they're a part of something, they're going to stick around. Next. So quickly again, donors will give if you ask, and if you have strong donor relations, it means you can ask more often and for more money, and they will give it. Over asking is not an issue if you thank and report properly. People worry about asking too much. I will tell you, we sent 7 appeals a year, 3 acquisitions. We had multiple other campaigns, but we thanked and reported back very robustly as we asked, and it was never an issue if they were asking. And again, reporting is the most critical part. You have to let your donors know how their gifts are making a difference. Next. So where to start? So make a plan. I'm a big planner. I'm a huge planner. Planning is in my blood, I think. But develop a plan, and you need to assess it regularly. Establish your goals and metrics. And of course, some of this actually applies to overall donor relations, but also to year end. And then I'm going to say, start small, but make it meaningful and be consistent. You can add as you go along and you grow as an organization. You don't have to do everything at once. Again, it started as just me, and then I added the development director, and then we added development coordinator. You don't have to do everything, but do something, and try to focus on the most important things for your organization. And that may not look the same for everyone. Next. So again, prioritize retention over acquisition. The old song, love the one you're with. So this is it, make new friends, but keep the old. The cost of acquiring donors is so much higher than keeping them. It can be 100% more than the donation they actually give. And it can take years for your organization to break even on acquisition. I'm sorry, my dog is barking in the background. I hope you don't hear her. She's protecting me. But by focusing on donor relations, your organization can actually spend less time and less money by building a donor base that will stick around longer. Next. And again, relationships. Fundraising is all about relationships. Think about how easy it is for you to ask someone that you love and appreciate and that's your friend for help versus someone you don't know for help. But, long-term relationships, again, donors will give more money and larger, more often, and they will stick around longer. And that adds up to what they call the donor lifetime value, which can add up significantly if the donor sticks around for a period of time. Next. And again, remember, only 20% of your first-time donors will give again, but if you can get them to make that second gift, 60% will make a third gift. And we're going to talk again more about first-time donors later, but you need to make sure, if you focus on nothing else, I would highly encourage you to focus on first-time donors and making sure that you thank them super well and provide them a really great experience with your organization. Next. Again, thanking appropriately. Autoresponder, not a thank you. The best practice is that you get thank you notes out within 72 hours. That can be very daunting. I'll admit we did not do that. We were not always good at that, especially year end, because we got so many donations in and it was difficult, but you can work toward that. You can have volunteers help. You can automate a lot of things that will help you do that. But really 1 week is sort of the max you need to shoot for getting it out. I've gotten emails or thank yous for donations 4 or 5 months later. And while it's still a thank you, it's not great. And then never thank somebody and ask at the same time. That's not a good thing. Next. And then I feel very strongly about this as well. I feel like when you're talking to your donors that you need to communicate with them like you're talking to your best friend. Be open, be warm, even be a little silly. I think some organizations focus way too much on being super professional and it just doesn't come across warm, especially depending on the type of organization that you are in. That you're funding. Don't be afraid to evoke emotion. Emotion is how people connect. It's how you make people feel something for your organization, for your mission, then they feel connected to you and they're more likely to give. And remember, don't be we all the time. We did this, we did that, we did this. You want to talk about what the donor made possible. You did this, you made this possible. This was because of you. Next. And do not wait, y'all, please, until you start getting your donations in to plan your donor relations, or until the third week of December. You need to plan your donor relations plan for any campaign, including your year-end campaign, while you are developing the campaign, so that you are ready to go as soon as the donations start coming in. And you need to keep thanking and reporting back donors throughout the entire campaign and after the campaign in January for year-end. And I'll also say it's incredibly important to make sure you have a game plan for your donor database. Who's going to be putting the information in? Who's printing out the letters? And you may need more help. I will tell you, my little mama, when she retired, came and was inputted donations for us at my organization. And she would come once a week or twice a week during the year. But at the holidays, she would come 4 days a week because we were getting that many donations and we needed her more often. And you may need to, train volunteers to help you do that if you don't have enough staff to do that. But think ahead about that, because it could, if it really picks up and you have a lot of donations coming in, you want to make sure those donations get in quickly so that you can get those thank yous out quickly. Next. Again, there's a lot of things that you can automate depending on the programs that you have. If you have different CRMs, you can automate the emails to send out or just to be sent out with the push of a button. And then I also want to talk, and I'll talk more about this later again, write campaign specific letters. Make sure you mention the campaign or the season, at this year end, we want to thank you, or as we celebrate, the season of saves, which was our year end campaign, what we called it, we want to thank you for participating. There's a lot of special touches that you can include. We'll again show some examples of those later. If you're deal with children, you can include a children's drawing. You can send photos of mission moments. You can also have your own campaign thank you cards made. We had holiday cards made with like little animals and Santa hats, and it's not terribly expensive. I will give you, again, I learned my lessons, so I'm going to share them with you so you don't make the same mistakes. But make sure that if you make a card that that you're able to put everything inside that you need to put inside, if you need to put the letter inside, and then it mails with regular postage, because some cards, they're special sized, have to mail with more postage. So just a word to the wise about that. Note to the side. Next. You also want to make sure, again, this applies for all campaigns, but specifically at year end. And the reason y'all year end is so important is most organizations, again, the studies show that 30% of your donations come in at year end. So that's why, focusing on that month, December especially, to really make sure that you're on your game about donor relations. But you may not have all of these groups, but the minimum you should do is if you have monthly donors, they need to be addressed in a certain way, major and mid-major, which are your, probably 4-figure or higher donors, first-time donors, and corporate donors. And those will be people that maybe either give you a gift, a business that gives you a gift at year end, or maybe they have sponsored you during the year at an event, at a gala. And again, you may not have all of those, but those are sort of the big groups in addition to your general donors. Next. And regular updating is critical. Again, this is part of the reporting back process. And this can be done via emails. This can be done on your social media channels. And then remember that after the campaign is all said and done, the first or second week of January, and maybe even later in January, continue to send thank yous and report back to folks about the outcomes of the campaigns, the difference that's starting to be made because of the money that you raised in December. And, continually, your thank you does not end when the campaign ends. Your thank you continues after that. And you can always update them again on what's going on. Next. So this is an actual plan, slightly modified, that we used at the Humane Society. I don't want you to get freaked out about this. Because you will see there, this was split between me and my development director. Now we decided, because it made sense for our organization, to split between mailed gifts and online gifts. And I focused on mailed gifts, and my director of development focused on online gifts. So she thanked all the people that donated online. I thanked all the people that sent in a check. Okay. We had 4 different segments of giving tiers. Again, that may not apply to your organization. You may only have 2, or you may have 3. This is just how we divide it based upon the amount of donations we got within those amounts. So we based it on that, because if it was a lot, in one particular amount, we didn't want to pile too many into one group. So don't get really freaked out about this. Again, this is what worked for us. And the timeline there, that is optimal. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that we were always perfect. We were not, but we tried our best. We sort of set aside December as that, our main thing in December that we need to do is make sure the campaign was running correctly and we were thanking our donors properly. And then again, our special segments you see there were first time, monthly, and corporate donors, because our quote major donors were actually included up in the mailed and online gifts. Those are the people that gave $1,000 more. That was what we classified as a major donor. But your plan doesn't have to be the same. Again, this is just something that we did. But again, you need to do what works for your organization and where you're at financially and the amount of help that you have on your team. If you have 3 or 4 people, you can split this list up more. And we had a mix there. You can see of acknowledgement letters, which are thank you letters, holiday cards, calls, videos, emails. So depending on the way we received the gift and the person responsible, that varied, and the amount the gift got. Anybody that gave $1,000 or more got a call from a board member. And I trained my board members to make those calls and gave them a script. And they were on, point to the month of December to, if I messaged them to get that call out within a day or 2. So that would, again, this is ours. Don't worry about this. This is just a sample to show you what's possible. Next. Now, this is super, super, super important. I feel very strongly about this too. If you have not communicated with your donors in a long time, I recently talked to a nonprofit leader who said that she's not communicated with her donors really in a year and a half, not to ask, not to thank, not to report back because of COVID. So she thought everybody was dealing with COVID. She didn't want to report back to them. So just use October, November, and even, there's a little bit of September left to warm up your donors, just to thank them. An idea is like we would do a thankathon in October where we would send emails and postcards and make phone calls. And again, we sort of segmented the donors about who got what. And we just contacted them to say, thank you for what you've done this year. We just wanted to call and let you know that we've been able to rescue, 1,000 animals. That couldn't have been possible without you. We usually did try to give a stat. Send a Thanksgiving email, again, just to thank, but again, no asking. And there may be other things that you can do as well, but these are just some ideas. But do use this time to sort of get your donors warmed up, again, especially if you've not talked to them in a while or communicate with them to let them know what's been going on in your organization, the achievements you've made, the things that you've been able to do because of their gifts. Next. This actually is a case in point. I worked with this organization last year, the Endometriosis Foundation of America. The ED wasn't so sure about sending a Thanksgiving email. They had never done that before. And, and I asked her, I said, well, do you want to be? And she says, I feel like everybody does that and they'll just get lost amongst all the other emails that are going out. And I said, I completely understand that, but do you want to be the only person not sending a Thanksgiving email? So we sent one, and it was very focused on, you're worthy of so much thanks and appreciation. You're truly making a difference. Your support's valued tremendously. I mean, very warm, touchy-feely, donor-centric language. They got back over a dozen replies to that email. They were shocked. I mean, people saying this made my day. Thank you so much for what you do. We're so appreciative. That is how you know you're doing good donor relations. If people are replying back and saying, wow, we've never gotten this kind of communication from people before. This is incredible. And they're thanking you for thanking them, which they don't have to do. But, but that the case in point, do it regardless of what you think may happen, because you may actually be pleasantly surprised. Next. Another case in point, now this organization did want to do a donor thank you at Thanksgiving, but we actually did send an email for them. And I think the most telling comment, again, they got like a ton of comments about it, 10 or 12 comments, is that top left one says, it's unusual anymore to get a thank you that does not include a plea for additional donations. I appreciate this, and it actually makes me feel more inclined to want to continue to donate. Class act. I mean, that right there tells you that what, I've been saying throughout this is true, and the research shows people, appreciate being appreciated, and they understand that when you send something like this and you're not asking, that unfortunately is somewhat of a rare occurrence sometimes. Next. So social media and your websites. Social media and your website should support your campaign efforts. When you're sending out an email about your campaign, take that same copy, modify it to fit social media standards, put it on social media, tag supporters. If you have a business that's given a match, if you have a business or a big donor that doesn't mind being tagged, tag and thank them on social media so that more people see it. And again, these posts should just be about thanking the donors, not about asking for more money. Video is huge. I'm going to show you, a few video samples. We're actually not going to go into because I want to run short on time, but video is still huge, and it doesn't have to be fancy. But using video on social media is still big, and I think will continue to be big because it catches people's attention. But you can do a quick video of you saying, hey, just wanted to report that we are happy to our goal because of you, and but you can do something quick that looks nice without having, but really gets people's attention. Again, you want to continue to report back throughout the campaign with updates. And a really important thing to do is to have your web page dedicated to donations. Next. And I actually had Jenna send this to me. This is actually a campaign page from CauseVox. Some people's website platforms allow you, or their donor database allow you to set up a specific donation page. Some people's don't. It really depends on what you have. If you can, I would highly recommend that you set up a campaign specific page. You would have on your website your general donation button, which still may go to your general donation page, or you may choose to have it to go to your campaign page for the holidays. Really depends on what you want to do. But regardless, you should have a campaign specific landing page like this that has your goal, possibly photos, a video about the year-end campaign, something that talks about the year-end and why you're trying to raise money. Again, CauseVox is a great platform if you don't have this ability to do this through your website or through your CRM, where you can use something like them to use the URL. You have a specific URL, I believe, Jenna, you can talk about that later, where it takes you directly to this page that you can share with folks. But if you can do this, I think it's a really great thing. I love tickers. I think showing people the progress can be really incentivizing to folks. So I think this is, if you can do this, that you should really try to do a campaign specific landing page that people land on to give online donations. Next. These are two videos. I'm not going to play these, but I hope the links will show up when you go back to if you go back view later. But one is peppy. It's very peppy and uplifting. It's at a college, and you can see the little thank you board there, but they basically are passing that thank you board around, and they thank donors for different things. So the students, it says, thank you for allowing me to get a scholarship. Thank you for this. And it looks like it was professionally done. But again, you can do that with your, staff, and you can do that with your iPhone. It doesn't have to be done professionally. The video on the bottom right is from a humane society, and it was a very touching and very obviously it was set up so that was done with somebody's iPhone and probably edited to with iMovie or some other video editing app, but it was just text and a music overlay and photos. So again, it wasn't fancy. You don't have to get a professional video. It just has to be simple and short and heartfelt. I will tell you, Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend. Go to YouTube, type in, year-end thank you videos or donor thank you videos or fundraising thank you videos. You'll see tons that'll pop up. And, look at them to get inspiration and see what other people are doing. And, it's a great, I did that. I do that all the time. I still do that for clients. So, look, see what's out there that people are doing and think, oh, we could do that. We could modify that to do this instead. I wouldn't, obviously, crib from somebody directly, but you can get inspiration from other folks. There are also programs, and I'm not tied to any of these folks, but like Thank You and BombBomb and Grativid that are programs, apps within your phone or on your computer where you can take a video and automatically email it out to your donors or to anyone you wish to. And those do have a cost to them, but those are great to use as well if you have the opportunity to do that and you have the means to do that. But again, videos can be a great opportunity to share in a very visual way with folks what's going on in your organization. Next. Oop, was that next? I guess it was. Nope, there it is. Okay. So these are actually updates on my personal social media, on my personal Facebook page, which basically was a secondary Humane Society page when I worked there. But the theme of these was, I want you to see what you helped make possible. So I would share the things from our Humane Society page on my personal page. The dog there on the left was actually blind. He came in with very damaged, it's a hereditary issue, eyes. We had to remove both of his eyes. He got a little halo that kept him from running into things that wrapped around his head. And so we took a little video of him walking around with his halo on and sent it out to folks. So again, super simple, but very touching, very much showing how their donation helped that one particular animal. The animal on the right there, Sunny, she had inoperable cancer. We took her out on this boat and had this whole day. We took her to Starbucks and got her puppuccino. We took her to PetSmart and got her toys. And again, we just wanted donors to know, you helped us do this. And again, very touching. There was no video on that. That was all photos. But this is how you can use social media to report back with video and photos to folks to show them the difference they're making, the things that are going on in your organization that maybe aren't even related to your year-end campaign, but they just happened during December. But hey, these are the things that are going on, and because you give is why we can continue to do things like this. Is the message there. Next, Jen, sorry. Again, just to say, for letters and emails, you want to write campaign-specific communications and have a different version for each different segment and different appeal. Now, again, don't get too freaked out about that or worried. You don't have to change it in a major way. It can just be changed in a minor way. But it is important to recognize the different. Excuse me, y'all had COVID recently, so I'm getting a little bit of a tickle in my throat. To each segment. So like maybe your one to your general just says thank you, but for your major donors, you say thank you for being one of our most steadfast supporters. For your monthly donors, thank you for giving monthly and and being there for us each and every month. And that's not great language, but it doesn't have to be a major change between the letters, but it has to be enough that you're acknowledging that donor group, preferably. These are some letters, again, samples. The one there on the left was one that I sent. I'm not going to read it out loud. You can go back and read it later. It's very gushy and heartfelt because that's the way I write. The one on the right is one that was specifically from a year-end campaign. And you can see there we put our year-end brand on it because we called it Season of Saves. We included a picture of a puppy. That story is actually, I believe, in the letter. So, again, if you can include those kind of things, of course, I included my photo on the other one. And again, if you can include a photo of something that's going on in your organization, I think that just, again, helps donors connect to you better. Next. These are some more thank you letters and an email. The one there on the left was for an organization I worked with. They included sort of a before and after of a student that was helped. These are first generation students that were the first in their family to go to college. And the one on the right is for a college I worked with, and that's actually an email. I will say something really quickly as well. As a note, I feel very strongly about hand signing all letters. People used to not believe I did that, but I did. I actually got a blue pen during the year, and at the year end, I would get a green pen. But I personally hand signed every single letter that went out of our organization. I think people can tell the difference. And I wanted to also touch the letters because if I saw someone on there that I knew um, and had, more familiarity with, I would write a note on there as well. Like, hey, Bob, I hope you're doing well. It's great to see you. Thank you for your gift. So it also allows you to put a personal touch on there if you're hand signing them. I also, you can see they're on the right email. I like to put signatures, even though they're not real signatures, obviously, and photos of the people. Again, anything I think you can do to personalize the experience for your donor, to show them who they're talking to show them the people that they're helping or the animals that they're helping or what they're helping to do in your mission, and to make it more personal to them is a good thing, in my opinion. Next, phone calls. So phone calls are not done a lot, but can be incredibly impactful. Again, you can see the stat there. There's been research done that shows they can increase donations by up to 40%. We, again, at year end, we would do a thankathon in October where we do phone calls to select donors that we chose for various reasons. And you can keep it really simple. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get voicemail, right? So have a script. Hey, this is Julie calling from XYZ, nonprofit. I just want to call and thank you for your gifts this year, or your gift. Thanks to you, we're able to do XYZ. Again, thank you so much. And we hope you have a happy holiday. And involve your board. This is a great place if you have a board to involve them, because you can give them a little script. You can ask them to make those calls for you. I would handpick the people that you asked to do that to make sure that there are people that have the personality to do that. But, or other volunteers as well. If you have other great volunteers who would be willing to do that, this is a great thing that they can do and help participate that doesn't involve them asking, but just involves them thanking folks. Next, for first-time donors, if you could put together a small welcome kit for them, that would be incredible. Again, these could be pre-assembled before the holidays. Like, you could actually put these together now and personalize them, address them closer to the time, but you could have a holiday themed card or letter from the executive director or development director, maybe an inexpensive gift like a bookmark or a sticker, and maybe include a recent newsletter or annual report, but just some extra little touches for them. Again, they're focused, and the letter should focus on, thank you for your first gift. Thank you for joining our family. We're so happy you chose to give to us. I mean, be very gushy and very acknowledging the fact that they have donated to your organization for the first time. And again, these are things you can do in advance. Same thing for monthly and mid-major and major donors. If you want to do something a little extra special, a holiday themed card, a personal gift. I love it if you work with children, if you work with animals, if you work with homeless people, if you work with just about any human beings for sure, including something from them, a note, a drawing, a paw print on a piece of paper. I don't know what that would be, but something that's personal to your mission. Those can be incredibly impactful. And again, thank you videos are great. You can sit down your board chair or you or who, the executive director, the development director, make a couple of videos, send those off to folks as they give. If you want to not personalize them, or if you have the ability to personalize them, that's even better if you can put somebody's name in each one. But again, a lot of things can be done in advance. So you have to do them in December, or you can prep them so you do as much in December, but you are able to get a really warm donor touch out during the month. Next. Some other ideas, I won't go through all these, but I just want to talk about donor house parties and donor open houses. Donor house parties are basically, it's hard at the holidays because people are busy, but you probably do it in early November, I would recommend. But it's where you would invite maybe several of your more frequent donors that give, mid-major gifts, and or your major donors to a gathering. We actually did this. We invited them to a board member's house. We had wine and cheese. We talked about our mission. We thanked them. If they wanted to give their year-end gift there, they could, but it wasn't a hard ask. It wasn't a hard push, but it was basically a way to acknowledge them and talk to them. We actually brought, dogs with us, animals sometimes, and kittens, so they could, actually see the animals and tell them the story of the animals. An open house would be similar if you have a physical location to your organization, and you can take them on a tour through the building. Like one Sunday afternoon, you can have people come through and you can take them on a tour and tell them about your mission. Those are options if you have the ability to do that. Next. So these are just some things that we did as an organization I sort of wanted to share with you. None of these are expensive, none of them. none of them are more than $1 each at the tops. But all are very personal mission related. So there on the left, you'll see we bought those little cardboard quote ornaments on Amazon. I think you get like 100 for $6 or something ridiculous. There were stars and trees, which aren't necessarily holiday oriented, but are symbols associated with the holiday season. And you get that little ball of twine. And so we had volunteers do this for us. We had volunteers come in and do this. They tied the twine off and made like a little hangable ornament. And then we had stickers made, little round stickers that were like an inch in diameter that would fit on the star or the tree. And so one side was an animal and the other side was our logo. And we stuck those on and we would insert those little ornaments into our thank you letters and send it out. And we put something in there like, we hope that you'll hang this up this holiday season. And every time you look at it, you'll remember all the great you did for these animals, something like that. That's very, heartfelt. Actually, people call me wanting more of those. I mean, those cost literally pennies on the dollar. On the right, stickers. I mean, stickers for some reason seem to continue to be very popular. Those were actually not stickers that we did at year end. Those are something we did for something else. Again, they feature animals, so they feature some part of your mission or child's art or something like that. But if I would do this for year end, you might want to put some text overlay or your logo on there or something. But those are for a specific thing that we didn't do that for. But there are options there where you could also put text on there like Happy Holidays or something like that. Next. This is a bit, so on the left, we actually did use BombBomb, the video service I talked about earlier. So that was actually me sending out a video with a puppy sitting in my office, talking about, thanking people for giving at year end and how they helped this particular puppy and his siblings. And when you use those types of services, it allows you to do a very customized frame around your video. But again, you can do something similar that does not have to have a service to do it. You can do that yourself on your iPhone or something else very similar. And also texting. If you do have donors that you can text, that you have text options for, again, that was a very personal text I sent to a donor that I personally knew that I stewarded, to thank her for her anniversary of her gift, and took the photo of the dog. That was Sunny, the dog I talked about earlier that had cancer. Took it into an app where you can like put overlays on it of text and little graphics and sent that off to her. Super simple, really quick. Again, that was for her anniversary, but you do the same thing at year end with year end graphics. Next. These are just another few ideas. On the left there is a retro looking Polaroid photo, if you know what Polaroids are. That is actually a company called Fox Print, F-O-X Print. There are other people that make them, but you can actually put a message on there. So you could put a photo in there, again, that was related to your mission, and put at the bottom, Happy Holidays. Happy holidays from our rescues, happy holidays from our trip kids. It wasn't a lot of words, but you can put text on there. And on the right, excuse me, the top, that is literally 4x6 printed photos, which I know you think that's crazy. People still do those. Yes, they do. But we took those into a photo app, dropped our logo on them, dropped again a graphic on it, and had those printed out like at Walmart or wherever, your CVS, whatever you have you printed out now. And we stick those in a letter because again, it's just something very visual that shows your mission. Again, for the holidays, you probably would make it holiday related. Those are more generic. And on the bottom, there was a card that we actually made. We actually made our own thank you cards. And when you open that up, it had a paw print on the inside that said, thank you for your donation or something. But again, you can make that holiday theme if you want to have cards printed. Cards actually aren't that ridiculously expensive. And it is a possibility, but again, just be careful that you don't over purchase. Next. A few more ideas. That rock on the upper left-hand side was a gift to me. I have a friend who was an executive director for a transitional homeless shelter, and she brought that to me one year. She hand-delivered it to me. It sat on my desk in my office for years, and it is literally sitting on my desk right in front of me right now. I loved that. We actually replicated that at the Humane Society. We had our summer campers one year paint a bunch of rocks with paw prints and thank you on there, and we would take those to donors and hand deliver them to special donors that were local. Again, inspiration, we use the same inspiration. It's an easy idea. You can go to Home Depot, get a bag of rocks for $5, get some paints, and if you have volunteers or staff that's willing to do that, that's a great little personal touch. Bottom left was we had a holiday coloring contest one year for children, and we picked the winner and we put that on a little card that we sent out to our donors. The right is actually one of my favorite pieces we've ever sent. That is a puzzle, and you can't see it very well, but it says, "Thank you for being a piece of our story," the green part in the middle. And that was a 4x6 puzzle. It was less than $1 a piece. And we could insert those into the card that we sent out at year end, along with a little card there at the top. And people loved that. And again, it was very simple, very inexpensive, but very touching and personal about the mission. Another thing I'll just tell you really quickly, and this is the last slide, so we're almost to the end, is again, Google is your friend. So, you can Google and YouTube, follow social media. If there are other organizations like yours that you look up to or that you think do good work, follow them. I did. I followed Best Friends. I followed Soy Dog. I signed up for their newsletters. I even donated to them sometimes so I could see what they were sending to their donors. But, again, look at what they're doing that you love and use that for inspiration for your organization. Again, look on YouTube for ideas, for videos, for other organizations. Don't even have to be the same organization as you. Like the video of the people with the chalkboard, thank you, that could be used for any organization, right? Again, look around social media. There's lots of ideas out there. There's lots of inspiration. So none of my ideas maybe are especially original, but I looked around and saw the things people were doing and thought, oh, we could do that, but we'll put this twist on it for ourselves. And final thought here, again, donor relations is not difficult, but it is incredibly important. And it's incredibly important that you do it with passion. You want people to feel something for your organization. And if you're passionate about your organization, you should be able to share that excitement and warmth. And you don't have to do everything again, but you can do something. But focus on the things that you can do and do well, and make sure you do thank all donors at all levels. I mean, if some people don't send thank you notes, people that give less than $25, you don't know that the person that gives you $10 this month might give you $1,000 next month. You don't know what people make. You don't know what they have they can bring to the table. So don't judge someone on the size of their gift. We try to thank all donors, regardless of the size of their gift. Next. Freebie coming to you. You should have got the link before. We'll send it out to you again once we're probably tomorrow or whenever we get the list of everyone. We'll send it out to you. So make sure you download that. There's some worksheets and checklists in there that I did not talk about on this webinar. And there is that sample plan that's in there, and also the ability to start your own plan. So, that hope will be a great tool for you. I labored over that like it was a child. So hopefully you'll enjoy that and you'll be able to helpful to you. Next. And just really quickly, because I know we're getting near the end of our time, I want to give questions. I cannot take any more clients this year. I'm incredibly grateful that I have lots of clients for year end that I'm helping with their year end plan. But what I am doing is, if you need some help, I'm doing a 2-hour Zoom meeting, a coaching session for $449. And next, if you need a little bit more help, I'm doing what they call a VIP day. So basically a whole day dedicated to you for $1,299. That is actually more hands-on, where I actually will do some work for you. I can actually do some copywriting. There are very few of both of those opportunities available. That's why I'm asking you to email me so we can work out a schedule. But I would love to be able to help more people at the end of the year. So if you need that kind of help, I wanted to at least make this available to you. Next, Jenna, I'm sorry. Nice things people said about me. Next. I'm just going past your questions. Again, I encourage you to reach out to me, email me, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And I do just want to thank Jenna and CauseVox for giving me this opportunity. I hope this was helpful to everyone. And Jenna, if there's any questions, we can just jump right into those.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. And thank you everyone for your patience. Yeah, this was incredible. Hats off to you, Julie. I loved all the ideas for personal touches and extra little touches at year end. We do have several questions. I'll start with Mike chatted in. What do you mean by acquisitions? I can't recall which slide. It was right towards the
acquisition means new donors. So that means you're going out and trying to find new donors that have not given to you in the past. So that can be a very expensive and long haul proposition. Not that you shouldn't do that, but ideally you should probably focus on making sure the donors that you have currently are well loved, well thanked, well reported back to, and acquisition should be secondary to that. But over time, there is some natural acquisition to your organization. Honestly, if you have donors that are well loved and well thanked, some of that will be word of mouth. They will tell other people. So that's what acquisition is. It's just new donors, acquiring new donors.
Let's see. Tracy asked, you said that we shouldn't FASK. How does the thank you mail plus ask letter differ? And this was during your spreadsheet example.
I'm trying to remember which one that was.
We should go back to it. It
Might have
was,
been a specific reason for that, so I don't remember. Yeah,
it was some here.
that was Apple Pen.
Thank you mail and ask letter, I guess.
Oh, that's acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement
I'm
letter.
sorry, you can't see it there in the guide, the guidebook up for that's a freebie. I do put the acronyms for this. I wasn't able to put them on the slide because of space, but the acknowledgement letter basically is for tax purposes. So that's what an acknowledgement letter is. So an acknowledgement letter says, thank you for your gift of X dollars we received on X date. And there can be some thank you in that, and that can be included in your bigger thank you. But then beyond that, you want to put more gushy, warm language about how your donors helped. You want to include a story about a particular dog or person or however they impacted your mission that they can relate to. You want it to be more than just saying, we thank you for your gift of X on X date. There needs to be more than that. Hopefully that answers your question.
Jason is wondering, when is the optimal time for November, in November, for hard copy and online asks to go out?
Okay, so this year is weird, y'all. Last year was too. So we still are seeing, there are still supply chain issues with printing. I work with a lot of different printers, one in particular here in my hometown, and there are still issues with getting paper and envelopes. So if you have not started working on your year-end mailable items, I would get on that immediately. Also remember, this year is an election year, it's midterms. So that's the 1st of November, and that's going to clog up the works at least leading up to that and possibly a little bit afterwards. So the sooner you can get on that, the better. But you can send I actually prefer, if you're having a big mailing, to send it out mid-November, like the week before Thanksgiving and before Giving Tuesday. Because if you wait till December, it's just really too late. It's not going to get to people and get in their hands and have them be able to turn it around and get a check back to you or make a donation back to you. So the earlier you can send that, early to mid-November, is not too early for a holiday mailing to go out.
Mm-hmm. Do you resend the online ask again in December to non-responders?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We sent a lot of emails in December. And especially that last week between Christmas and New Year's, we would send like one a day and the last 2 days, because that is when most people give. I mean, it's after the holidays, they're sort of not focused on Christmas anymore and all the things that go on then. And again, though, if you're going to be that aggressive, for lack of a better word, with your asking, you need to make sure that you're thanking people well and following up with them, because you just can't ask and also not be thanking or reporting back to them, because that will make people mad. And if you don't send anything to them all year, and then all of a sudden you send them 12 emails in a week, that is not good. They will not like that, and understandably so.
Mm-hmm. Morgiana is wondering regarding the thank you notes, do you recommend individual handwritten notes, or are personalized individual emails okay?
I'm going to say that depends, and let me qualify. I did write some handwritten notes to certain select donors. Major donors got a handwritten note. Like I said, if I was signing letters and I came across a donor that I personally had interacted with or knew of or had worked with or stewarded, then I did write a handwritten note. You may only have 100 really great donors or major donors, and to me it's worthwhile to put aside that time to go ahead and write those notes, which honestly, again, you could do now or in October to mail later. But if you have 2,000 major donors, that's obviously not going to be possible. So you really have to balance it against the number you want to send, the type of donor you're sending it to. But to me, the more you can personalize it, the more you can make it warm and heartfelt and handwritten and touchy-feely, the better. So sort of, again, weigh it against your situation, how much help you have, your human resources, and your resources of time.
Yeah. And just to follow up with that, do you think that physical versus online letters has to be connected to the way the donor donated? For example, like
no,
the way they donated?
Okay. If you remember back to our plan, even if somebody gave online, if their online gift was $1,000 more, they got a phone call. And they also got a letter. or a card, depending on the amount of their gift. So just because they give via email or online, digitally, it doesn't mean you can still send them. Now, again, the difference here is if you don't have their address. So if your donation form does not make people give their physical address, you won't be able to do that. You'll only be able to communicate with them via email. But if you have a physical address, absolutely send them a physical hard copy letter, card, whatever. But no, it does not have to marry up. You have to send an email for an email or a letter for a letter. It can be varied.
Mm-hmm. Cool. We have another question. How do you get board of directors more involved with fundraising when they're not used to doing it?
Well, again, I think sometimes, and trust me, I know this is hard, y'all. Again, I've been there, I've done this. I was an ED, I had to deal with a board, I had 21 board members. But again, I think that one way to sort of soft pedal this in is to say, because a lot of board members don't like to ask, but you can say, okay, I'm not going to ask you to ask, but I'm going to ask you to help thank. We have a lot of donors that give at year end. We need help. It's only me and my DD. It's only me. I need y'all's help. If you have a December board meeting, instead of having a board meeting, bring in a bunch of dang cards and have them all write a message in it. Again, ask, but pick select. Don't know board members that have the personality to do it, to make the calls. I mean, these are things they can do. And I know that you can't make them do it, but I would impress upon them the importance. And here's the importance. I'm going to tell you this, write this down. There's tons of studies about this. Volunteers rank above staff in perception of thanks. So a board member thanking a donor is a lot more meaningful in their mind because they know that board member is a volunteer than an ED, because an ED is a paid employee. So you can tell them that stat. I have that stat somewhere. I'll try to find it, send it to everybody, or you can message me for it. But that is a true study that was done, that board members sending or thanking donors is much more meaningful to them than a paid staff member. Share that with your board.
Amazing. Just one more follow-up to something you mentioned earlier about collecting mailing. So some online donors choose not to provide a mailing address, but is it inappropriate to ask specifically for their mailing address?
Okay. Well, a couple things. So that depends on how you set up your form, I think. Now, I don't know everything about every different format and platform out there for giving, but I believe, and again, I don't know this for sure, that if you set up your form and you make the address part that they have to fill it out, in other words, you can make it a criteria of them giving that they have to provide their address, then you will get it. And people know that. Now, there are some organizations that say we want to make it as simple as possible, so we're only going to ask them for their email and just to donate. And that's fine. It doesn't hurt to ask them for their address afterwards, to say we would like to send you, a hard copy tax letter for your whatever you want to say to them to get their address. But just know you may not get it. So if you want to make sure you get an address, I would build it into your form that as a criteria of them giving, that they have to fill out those fields as it is mandatory.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, well, I just want to note that for CauseVox, our donation forms, if you add postal to the donation forms, that mailing address will be mandatory to fill out. I will just point out also that if you're looking to get up and running for year end and need something easy, quick and easy to display your year end or Giving Tuesday and year end funding, we do have really quick and easy fundraising sites to spin up. You can embed the donation forms right on your website. And we have pretty flexible plans. If you have questions about that, you can email support@causevox.com. I'm putting that in the chat. If you also would like more of a demo of the platform itself, how to use it for Giving Tuesday, year end, or any other events, you can book a demo with us. I'm dropping that in the chat as well. And feel free to also subscribe along for other free fundraising resources on our blog. Again, thanks again to Julie for her time today, for her expertise. I will re-drop her email in the chat in case you want to get in contact for any consultation questions. I think she had some other resources available. And again, this webinar has been recorded. We will be sending out all the resources, including the amazing planning freebie that Julie created just for you, and has included. So keep an eye out in your email within the next week. And yeah, can't wait to be in touch with you all in the future. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much, Julie.
Oh, no, thank you. And again, I do just want to encourage everyone. I'm serious. I've talked to people in the past when I was a nonprofit executive, and I would call them for advice, and they'd be like, no one ever calls us. Truly, I mean, not call me, but if you want to reach out to me, if you have a question, I'm glad to help. I mean, I really do enjoy helping folks because, again, I've been where you are. I've been in director of development. I've been an executive director. I know it can be really hard and challenging sometimes. I built a program from scratch. So please feel free to reach out to me via email, again, on any social channels, and I'll be glad to try to help you in any way that I can.
All right. Well, this has been awesome. And yeah, I guess look forward to keeping in touch in our next webinar and all the great things you all are doing at your nonprofits. So thanks again. And
Thank you, Jenna.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.